The energetic signature of a codependent. Now let's first look at what an energetic signature is, right? I'm going to refer to somebody's personality, right? How a person thinks, how a person feels, and how a person behaves. That is what creates a person's personality, which is also what creates a person's personal reality. But that in and of itself is essentially what creates the dynamic that is a person's energetic signature. Why do I want to talk about the energetic signature of a codependent? Well, as I've been on this wild experience for like the past week now, there's something specifically that I've been focusing on, which is not so much focusing on like feeling it within myself, but focusing on it as seeing it as fascinating, right? And that is lack, right? And so the energetic signature of a codependent is pretty much that, lack, right? Somebody who's codependent seeks externally for a far majority of things. Why? Because they feel like they lack something or some things, right? So the energetic signature of a codependent is foundationally based in lack, which is very fascinating because this is exactly why they experience life the way that they do. If you feel like you lack something or lack some things, right, what are you going to do? You're going to look outside of yourself for them. And therefore, you're going to form relationships with people based around that, which is going to lead to validation, or not validation, but a need for external validation and approval. The relationships are going to end up being very unhealthy because they're not based around anything healthy. They're based around what you see inside of yourself that you feel is not there and that you think you need other people for. The more that I learn about quantum creation, the more I see how prevalent lack is, right? Now, I'm not trying to get into like black or white, all or nothing splitting thinking here. I'm not, because I don't think that life is all that way. However, it's kind of hard to find a middle ground when it comes to this. It's hard to find a gray area, right? From what I've learned, people are either coming from a place of lack or they're coming from a place of love. If they're coming from a place of lack, they feel like they need something or some things outside of them externally to feel fulfilled. And this is likely a belief that they learned earlier on in their life because they were raised by somebody that taught them that something about them was defective, that they are inherently defective, that something's just not right about them, right? And so that taught them, well, if there's something about me that's not right, then it's got to be that somebody else has it. It's the validation, it's the approval. I need that. I'm hungry for that. So I'm going to go externally and look for it. That's how that works. And so that's lack, right? Which, by the way, a person can live that way. It's not healthy, but a person can live that way. And if they cultivate the dynamic of that energetic signature, they're going to experience life and their relationships accordingly. However, if you're coming from a place of love, right? There's lack and there's love. Two completely different sides here. And I know that this sounds a lot like splitting and black and white thinking, but just hear me out here. So, if you're coming from a place of love, right? You feel wholesome. You feel complete. You don't need anything or anyone outside of you to fulfill you, to complete you, right? You're already whole. The difference between these two, one is focused very, very much, also either poor or no boundaries at all. One is focused very much on the external, right? The electromagnetic field, the energy field around this person is going to be very weak, right? They're very much caught up in their head, right? This person over here, coming from a place of love, they're very much focused on energy. They're focused on what? Their heart center. The heart is far more powerful than the mind. And that's one of the key factors here. Because when we're living from the heart, we are building the field, the energy field around us. It's getting stronger and stronger. When we're focused on lack, the energy field around us is like diminishing. It's getting smaller and smaller and less powerful. And I think that this is the clear distinction between the two of them. But the energetic signature of a codependent is foundationally based in lack, which is exactly why codependents experience life the way that they do. Their relationships are not healthy because there's no sense of mutual giving and receiving. They're simply in relationships for validation and approval because they believe that they lack something. They believe that they are inherently defective, right? And so let's look at energetic signature, right? The thing of an energetic signature is really to attract, right? I mean, we're always attracting. We are. But it's not always healthy what we're attracting, right? And so what a codependent usually attracts are people that will be unhealthy. There will not be an equal giving and receiving dynamic, right? And really what they're there for is the validation and the approval. What it is that they learned that they lack earlier on in life, which is exactly what led them to be the way that they are. Codependents are very fascinating because they're very much focused on the external rather than the internal. The reason why they're so focused on the external rather than the internal is because if they were to look at the internal, they would see what I would argue to be more so an illusion, but it appears real to them. And that is that there is nothing there. Lack. Right? So that actually scares them. That's why it's scary for somebody who's codependent to look at themselves, because they don't see anything there. They see, if anything, the same consistent belief that they were raised with, that they are inherently defective, which is why it's painful for them to look at themselves, which is exactly why they look outside of themselves and they seek externally for the validation and the approval. Lack. All foundationally based in lack. The energetic signature of a codependent is lack. They believe that they lack something, and that which they lack is external, and they can find it externally, which again leads to really unhealthy dynamics in relationships. Because one, whatever they believe that they lack is actually an illusion based on conditioning of learned beliefs from childhood, of inherent defectiveness and lack. So yeah, the energetic signature of a codependent is lack, which is exactly why they look outside of themselves for pretty much everything. It's because they believe. It's just a belief. They believe that they don't already have it.